How many people on earth today? 9 billion. How many deaths have there ever been? Trillion. Do we all consider ourselves to be individuals? Do we all consider ourselves to have an individual point of view? Do we all reckon that one's own point of view is better than someone else's point of view? Do we all reckon that we should be heard? Are we all in competition with one another? Are we all saying as we live our daily lives, I should be heard, I should be acknowledged, I should be loved, I should be accepted? As we go through our lives, our daily lives, are we saying, get out of my way, I'm as important as you? Are we all trying to uphold an image? Are we all wanting to be stimulated, consoled, understood? Well, if that's the case, that's the nature of the ego. That's all egoic. That's all coming from what I call the clenched fist disposition. Together with all of that, we have various degrees of unhappiness. We have various degrees of happiness. And then there's all the other emotions, sorrow, sadness, excitement, fear, anxiety, all these tensions. For me, that wasn't at all acceptable. I could not be an ordinary, normal human being. From a very young age, I had this yearning to be more like Jesus, whatever that meant. From a young age, I didn't want to belong anywhere. I didn't feel I belonged anywhere. I didn't want scaffolding to hold me up. I could see this wasn't it, and this wasn't it, that this wasn't it. There was something greater. I had this intuition. Do you ever have that intuition? There's something greater. Well, I was taught that this greater is a different disposition from the ordinary clenched fist disposition. It's the open hand disposition. And in that place, or from that place, life is only, and this is true, only happiness, with a capital H. It embraces all of duality. And from this place, you stand alone. There's none of this, I want you to love me. I want you to like me. I want you to acknowledge me. There's none of this, I'm better than you. There's no image to uphold. There's just happiness. And that is, if you wish to call it enlightenment, that is the enlightened disposition. And we all know that disposition, that open hand disposition. But very few people have realized that that open hand disposition is all there is. There's nothing more. There's nowhere else to go. It's the end of all suffering. It's the end of all dilemma. It's the end of all this wanting to preserve an image. It's the end of all competition. It's the end of all wars between one another. It is that state that Jesus called, I and my Father are one. But that's been misinterpreted many times. So from this disposition, there is only constant intimacy with the conditions of life. There is only a constant. One is awake. One sees clearly. There's no judgment. There's no criticism. There's just clarity. You see the dust on the table. You see the mess. You see the tidiness. You see the dish. Whatever you see, it doesn't need to have a label. It's just what it is. You feel the heat. You feel the cold. It's just what it is. There's no dilemma. It's just what it is. That's the characteristic of the open hand disposition. No dilemma. It's just what it is. And if there is a dilemma, there's no dilemma. There's no dilemma having a dilemma. And this place is just utter happiness. The humour is restored. The body-mind is so relaxed. There's no tensions. There's none of what I call the self-contraction. You might ask, well, how can you live without ego? Well, ego isn't there. There's no ego. It's an imaginary concept. It's an imaginary friend. Your imaginary friend is you being simply narcissistic, loving yourself, dwelling on yourself, attention on you all the time. And then that creates an other. You see, in this disposition, there's no other. There's no object. There are objects, but there's no sense that that is separate from this. There's a oneness, utter oneness. There's no religion. There's no beliefs. There's nothing in this disposition. Or there is everything in this disposition, all at once. Should you see who that was? This disposition is the God disposition. It's love bliss disposition. It's the disposition of total understanding. It's already the case. It's not made, it's not invented, it's not imagined. It simply is. It was never born and will never die. It's consciousness, it's feeling awareness, it's our inherent state that everyone wants to live as. And for those spiritual seekers, it's what they are wanting, it's what they're seeking. It's what everyone wants the other person to be, totally embracing. There's no wants in this disposition. One sees clearly what's necessary. One understands that the body needs nutrition and needs good food and etc. And to be clothed, we understand what society is asking of us. But it's all simply embraced without dilemma. Are you understanding? It is nirvana. It is heaven on earth. It embraces everything. There's no dilemma. One is already at home, wherever one is. Are you understanding this? So how does one get from here to here? Surrender. Keep surrendering. Keep giving over. Your attention must gravitate to only happiness until the body-mind accepts that it is only happiness. No dilemma, no friction, no tension, no stress, no anxiety, no fear, no unnecessary fear, no dilemma, no me and you, no me against you, no more seeking. It's just peace. It's peace on earth. It's real peace. There's such quietness. Then the body-mind is left alone. It does what it does. Oh! It does what it does. People think the enlightened person is full of love and not allowed to be expressive, not allowed to have sex, not allowed to indulge in lovely foods. There's no dilemma. The body-mind is allowed to be what it is, which is, it's allowed to shit. It's allowed to say that word. It's allowed to fart. It's allowed to do those things. One sees clearly what's necessary. Of course, one's allowed to drive on the wrong side of the road, but one's not going to do that unless one's crazy and mentally ill. There's no mentally illness in this disposition. There is a kind of craziness, but it's not a clinical craziness. It's natural, inherent state. This is why the Jesuses of life were never accepted. Ecstasy is not allowed in society. You're only allowed to be really happy when you're sitting in front of a comedian. And that's just egoic stimulation. It's just a kind of vomit. We're talking about unmade, unconditional happiness, joy, delight, intimacy, humour. We've got this image of Jesus that everyone wishes to be, all lovey-dovey. But the image that I've got of Jesus is a wimp on a cross. You see that so many times. Every time you go into a church, you see this. I'd be like that, I'm sure, if I was crucified. But that's not the image I really have of Christ. I have a person full of energy. This is the image I have of Christ. Full of energy, happiness, joy, love, delight, and also the opposites. Anger at times. There's no dilemma. That's the beauty of enlightenment. That's the beauty of this freedom. It's a freedom of anxiety. It's a freedom from anxiety, from fear, from concern, from so-called problems. It's a freedom from dilemma. Do you understand? Are you understanding the difference between this and this? See it in yourself. You've got to have this self-understanding that you are doing this nonsense and it's not necessary. You are doing this activity of the self-contraction, which is prior to all that you consider you know. Divine ignorance. Where are these words coming from? I've been talking for 17 minutes. Total freedom. This is true freedom of speech. Not the content, not what I have to say. It's the freedom of speech, the freedom of the body doing whatever it's. There's no blockage. There's no dampening. There's no separation. Total embracement. Total embracement. You know the difference between a dirty glass and a clean glass. It's obvious. So do you know the difference between this and this? No, you don't. No matter how much I tell you, no matter how much I might go blue in the face. My mother used to say, it's like talking to a brick wall. She used to say we were so pig-headed. That is what society is like. Everyone is right. Therefore, everyone is wrong. No self-consciousness. We all fart. Everyone farts. Everyone has to blow their noses. Everyone sneezes. All these bodily functions happen without any self-consciousness in this disposition. We are all naked. We cover ourselves up, but the clothes don't belong to the body. Prior to the clothes is nakedness. So prior to this is this. I love this analogy. You've got a window with smears on it. You've got glass with smears and grime and dirt on the glass. But the glass has never changed. The appearance is different, but the glass is still as clean as it was when it was first produced. The windscreen is clean prior to the grime. The grime doesn't change the glass. You see? So this is not making any difference to this. But this is the prior condition to this. You're adding smears and grime to the already pure, clean, gleaming glass. This is the bright condition. The bright condition of already happiness. How did that come about? How is all this happening? It's a mystery. How is this happening? It's a mystery. There's no you doing this, or there's no me doing this. There's no me. And therefore there's no you. It's just fun, it's just happiness, it's joy, it's delight. I recommend it to everyone. It's healing, it's wellness, it's the divine. What else is living the body-mind other than the divine? Who grows your nails? You don't grow your nails or your hair. You don't change the skin, the cells from time to time. You're not beating your heart. There's no you. Where is this you? It's fictitious. It's imaginary. When the mother says to the child, "You are tired," just because the child started to yawn, it's not true. We aren't any of that. The only, whatever we are is consciousness. That's what we are. Consciousness. Awareness. And the body is consciousness. The fingers are conscious, the eyes are conscious, the nose is conscious, the mouth is conscious, the hair is conscious, the plants are conscious. How can we all live together unless we're like this? We can't. We can't. It's a joy to live with one another when we're like this. But everyone approaches one another like this. Me wants you to listen to me, and I want to convey to you, and you want to convey to me, and we've got this agenda with one another. There's no dilemma in this disposition. Anything can arise, anything. Just that, let's have a book of plain pages. Well, let's have one page. This is a plain piece of paper. Have I got a plain piece of paper here? There's a plain piece of paper. Anything can be put on that plain piece of paper. What's written on the other side? You don't know, do you? That's my last dental treatment assessment. This side is also this side. Anything can be put on the blank piece of paper, but the blank piece of paper isn't altered. Like the pane of glass, it's not changed. Something's been added. Take it off, it's still the plain piece of paper. You weren't expecting that, were you? Nor was I. It's still the plain piece of paper. It looks different, but it's still the same plain piece of paper. So anything can be recorded on a blank CD. And there's trillions of CDs in the world. Well, I don't know about trillions. Don't quite know what that number is, really. Maybe we can see a trillion when we walk on the beach. Maybe what we're seeing is a trillion grains of sand. Don't know. But the plain CD is what there is before anything is added. You know what it's like. You lose the case. You lose possibly no label on the CD, and you say, oh, I wonder what's on this CD. So, this disposition, from this disposition, is true life and true happiness. This is false. It's imaginary. Artificial intelligence. That's what goes on in the head. It's artificial. True intelligence comes from here. You see clearly. You are awake. Very few people are using their innate, inherent intelligence. I say there. We don't own anything. This body-mind isn't mine. It's just a vehicle of expression for the divine. Then we play with the conditions of life. Everyone's so serious about the conditions of life. We see clearly, no dilemma, so the so-called problems aren't problems, but they possibly need to be sorted and remedied. No big deal. You spill some milk on the carpet, you wash it clean. You go and get some water. You see some bits on the carpet, you get the hoover out. No dilemma. You've got some plaster coming off the wall. Well, you do your utmost to have it repaired. No dilemma. It's not a problem. It's not nice to think of this, but if you've got cancer, let it not be a problem. Let it not distract you from being happy. Easy to say, that is, I understand. I understand. But if there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can do. We've got top surgeons in the world who can't cure everything. It's just as it is. It's not pleasant. My neighbour, his son died recently from cancer. It's not a dilemma, so you're sad. It's true sadness. You feel. It's true feeling. No dilemma. You sympathize, you empathize. It's compassion. It's all inherent from this disposition. You're happy to be in that place. No dilemma. That's the beauty of living as an open hand. It embraces all of these emotions. They're not restricted emotions. This restricts. This suffocates. This is the dilemma. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to feel sad. Utter nonsense. This embraces all of duality, all of the true human emotions. We see it in animals, we see it in elephants when their child dies or something, or animals feel. There's no dilemma in this disposition. We feel to the nth degree. Sensitivity is truly apparent. Thank you for listening. Stop all this nonsense. This is the only way to live. I love that gesture. Thank you for listening. Way of the heart.